welcome to First 7-Inch Club, episode 203. First 7-Inch Club is a podcast where we dig up 7 inches from the past within the realms of hardcore, punk, and metal and discuss whether or not they're worth being remembered. We also provide facts and trivia that we get from the internet and our own personal experiences. We do our own research on this show, so sometimes we get things wrong, but you know, well, what are you going to do? That's we don't have any that we're our own bosses here. So there's no one here to fire us, so we can get as many things as wrong as we want, and we'll never lose our jobs. So I am Mike, and with me is Scott.
Yeah, call the First 7-Inch Club's boss this week, and you know why. Call our boss. Get us fired. Please, actually. So this week I received the strangest news about myself that I've ever heard. And so I was taking piano lessons for a while. Right. My piano teacher had to drop me because
you're not 12 years old.
It could be. My original thought was that it was because I refuse to sort of practice, right? And I refuse to practice. So every week I'd come in with like, well, actually, why don't we work on something totally different today? Just so I never had to really, answer to the fact that I hadn't practiced all week. And it wasn't intentional. I was playing, but I wasn't really. I can't play piano right now. I did it for like a while, and I still can't play piano. So I think she had other things going on. She's like, I don't really want to waste time with you on Friday anymore. And I thought it was for those reasons. And then we're still friendly. So I was chatting to her about like a music topic, and in the course of our discussion, naturally this other thing came up. She goes, I wanted to ask you about something. She goes, a couple of years ago, I was after lessons on Friday, which is when I went. I used to go. I was like the last person on Friday. She said, after lessons on Friday, I was walking around in my front yard, and I found something in the driveway that was really weird. And I was like, uh-oh. I was like, what did I leave behind? And I had no idea what was coming next. And she said, would it surprise you if I said it was a weird ransom note made out of erotic fiction? And I was like, yeah, that would surprise me that you would say those words to me. And she said, yeah, I found this thing in my yard. And I always wondered if it was, this was a couple of years ago that she found this. She was, I always wondered if it was like yours, or if it was connected to you somehow. I was like, okay. And so she sent me a picture. She framed it in like a beautiful lucite frame. It's in this like cube of lucite. And at the top of the page, it's a very handled looking page. So someone loved this item and then like left it behind. And at the top, it says like, in Microsoft Word, like a fun font, not like the crayon ones, but some kind of fun font. It says thought for today, and then cut out. And we're going to go blue now, everybody. So like, if you don't like you don't like grown people chat, you just hit plus 15 a few times. This is going to get very grown, like really grown. Really quick. It says thought for today, and then in cut out pieces that have been sort of, like laminated to the paper with Scotch tape. It says, she knew that this was the cock of her dreams. It was the cock that fit her. Mouth perfectly thick and straight. The cock she could always swallow with ease. The cock that seemed to vibrate like an electric dildo as it thrust, and it's rubbed off so you can't read it, powerfully into her I don't know what, and then wet cunt. It would cream in violent spurts, hot cum lashing and landing everywhere, the cock of her dreams. And so, she showed me that, and I was like, I was like, there's nothing I could say. If I thought, and I just told her, I was like, if I thought you left this in my driveway, even if you said you didn't, I can't not think you did it. So I was like, there's nothing I can do now. Like it's in your mind that I've done this. I was like, I can tell you in honesty that in my thirstiest moments, I've never held an erotic novel in my entire life. I've never held a printed piece of like erotic fiction ever that I can ever think of. And I've never made any physical media. I was like, I definitely have a posting history that would jeopardize my career. I have done a lot online, but I've never made anything physical or driven around with it in my car with an 8-year-old child in the backseat. So it's not mine. I'm flattered. That I was like, but wait a minute. You kept letting me in your house for well over a year. you had this thing framed somewhere in your home and you kept letting me come in and sit at your piano and touch it without calling the police. And I was like, so, what's going on? I just thought it was interesting. I didn't think it was like the summary of you. I just thought it was like a joke or a thing that you had in your car for some reason. I was like, okay, well, that's very generous. And then I was like, does your husband associate this item with me? And he saw me coming into your house every Friday and didn't shoot me. And she's like, yeah, he just thought it was funny. I don't know. He didn't think anything about it. He doesn't. He just didn't want me to show it to people or something like that. So yeah. So I've just learned that someone who was very, very cool to me, very nice, is a wonderful person, thought that I was this guy for the whole like year and a half or so that I was coming to play piano in her house. I've never felt this way. I don't know how to deal with it. It's both electrifying and shocking. So, Mike, how was your week this week?
My week was fine. I have to thank you, Scott, for coming in to do the show because I know your favorite podcaster died, and
yeah,
I know you wanted to do a memorial episode for the Patreon, but I had to say no. I had to say no on that one. I said we can't talk about that guy on the Patreon. I think we've cultivated a left-leaning audience. And,
you think so? Do you? I can't tell.
So I don't think we can have the Charlie Kirk memorial thing.
It's tough to even, it's like, it's just, I don't want to talk too much about this because I don't want to lose my actual job. These people are out here doxing, going after your LinkedIn. But I will say that, it's I don't care that he's not with us anymore. I don't think he was a good person. But they did hit the notes though. Remember I said that I can't watch horror movies with little kids.
Yeah.
I can't do that anymore. And there was some news that like his kids were there and that they ran to him when he was shot. And I was like, oh fuck. So it takes me out of politics for the week. I don't want to hear those stories about that. Just tell me the good parts. tell me all like how we're gonna fix America now because we made like some inscrutable boy from Utah that no one can figure out. They have him in a room somewhere and no one can figure out what he's about yet. And he pulled off the shot of a lifetime with a pretty normal gun. It's very interesting. It's a very interesting news item.
Yeah, I'll talk about it.
Go for it.
but no, it's there was a TikTok or something of the one of the kids like ex high school. He went to high school with him. He wasn't friends with him or anything, and he pretty summed it up pretty good. Where he said he's just a kid that was addicted to Reddit, and that makes the most sense. It's just an extremely online kid. We're gonna have to deal with this for the rest of our lives. Hopefully more of those shots go the other way than our way. But
listen, I would have been this way. I think it's cool to escalate things online. I think it's funny.
Yeah.
When we used to do message board stuff, I always wanted to come out with like the weirdest meme or the biggest thing or go to the place and show photos. Like I went and did it. I like to do those kind of things. And so I don't know what would happen if I was 19 right now. I would probably have like armament that I'd inscribed anime things into like the magazines of my weapons and stuff like that. I might be that kid.
Yeah. Also, when the video came out, I think everybody saw the Far Away video first. And I saw it and I was like, whatever, it said he got shot or something like that. And you see the Far Away video and it looks like you hear the shot or you see the reaction and it looks like he moves and it's just like, oh, he probably got grazed.
Yeah.
And then so for 5 minutes I was thinking, oh, he's fine. And then
he's cool.
Yes, he's cool. And they're like, oh yeah, they're rushing him to the hospital. I was like, it's just a graze. And then you see the close-up video, and it's like, whoa, no, he's not making it out of that one. That was fucking. That's a shot. That was some real Faces of Death shit. It was pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
I wouldn't expect. I mean, this is Grizzly now. We're in Grizzly. Now we're in Rotten.com chat. But I guess I wouldn't expect that. I don't expect you to like instantly squeeze it all out. I was surprised and kind of a little bit horrified. But I also have like a problem, even when someone does a good job of it in a horror movie, when they do a good job of like how the body might misbehave when it's in deep shock like that. Like when you watch like a Irreversible or something, and the dude hits the guy with the fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
And they show the body start like spasming and like trying to defend itself and stuff. That shit fucks me up. Or like Until the Light Takes Us. Yeah. When the guy's getting stabbed and his arms are just kind of like defending it, even though he's dead, his arms are still working. that shit messes me up. Like the idea that your body will keep going, like when you're not there anymore, that your body will keep trying to just like badly fight off an attacker is horrifying to me. And so I feel like I saw a little bit of that in the moment.
You don't see a lot of neck trauma in horror. Usually it's just decapitations and stuff like that. And so like, you know, all these years I have been, you know, 30 some odd years, I've been thinking, oh, the arterial spray in Lone Wolf and Cub is so fake. Yeah. But no, it's actually the most realistic depiction of getting punctured in the side of your neck, apparently. And I never knew that. So
confirmed that all the like grisliest samurai movies that where the screen goes red whenever the sword hits.
Was very accurate. So
all true.
I guess I learned something from this big to-do. Anyway.
And lighter news, by the way, if everyone hasn't been out yet, the chili cheese burrito is back.
I was about to ask you, I was like, I don't have anything else to say. I want to hear about the chili cheese burrito from Taco Bell, though.
Yeah, very underwhelming. I don't remember. I guess my mouth remembers that the chili cheese burrito was a really gooey, like luxurious, unctuous sensation. That the whole thing kind of flowed together and the chili had a different kind of flavor. And that is true. Even with this one, you can taste more like cumin and stuff. Mm-hmm. So they did something, but it is kind of just like grandma's spice rack, like that dry kind of spice flavor is in there. And I wouldn't say that I'm excited about this iteration. And there's people who are out there who don't know what I'm talking about because you live in those weird dots on the map that never lost the chili cheese burrito for some reason. I don't know why you people live that way. I don't know why I don't. But the chili cheese for your fucking information, the chili cheese burrito has been gone everywhere else for like 20 years, and it was one of my favorite cheap items back in the day. So the fact that it came back was a big moment for me. You know, I'm gonna have a couple more before it goes away if I can. But it wasn't. You know, I guess maybe some memories. Some things are just best left in the past.
I don't think I ever had one originally. So is it just the regular meat with like spices in it, or do they do something?
No, that's the problem. Is that it's an ingredient. Like I don't know what the difference is between chili and beef, but it's chili. So they might just take the beef and add cumin to it, and that makes it more chili-like or something.
But is it wet, or is it still just the regular Taco Bell consistency? Yeah,
it's like runnier. It's like runnier. But it's not like, it doesn't pour out like soup. It's not like you bite it and like Wendy's chili comes pouring out in your chest. But it's definitely like a slimier, like runnier. The cheese and everything kind of melts together a little bit better than like a regular beef and bean burrito. And I think it has beans in it too.
See.
So yeah, it's a good concept. They should bring it back, but they need the Taco Bell flavor scientists to go back to the drawing board with their like weird old notebooks from the 90s and figure out how they were making it. It's possible. I think it's one of their older things. So it might be that there's no recipe for it. They just knew how to do it for 40 years.
Or those ingredients don't exist anymore because they probably just use Mrs. Dash or something like that. And Molly McButter. And now it's all gone.
Molly
they can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to reach us, you can do so at first7inchclub@gmail.com. Or you go to our Instagram.
I think you were going to say kissing contest.
You're right. I was about to say it.
I can feel it in the wires that you're about to say kissing contest.
Drilled into my head. Said it. Or still like 150 episodes away from me having to say First 7-Inch Club more than kissing contest. So
it's true.
Then by then, I'll have it on my system. By episode 350, I'll be saying First 7-Inch Club, no problem.
Yeah.
First7inchclub@gmail.com, or you go to our Instagram at First 7-Inch Club. A lot easier to reach us there. We also have a Patreon, patreon.com/First 7-Inch Club. We're going to be recording an episode after this that you will hear before this episode if you are a patron, because the Patreon episodes usually come out a day before the actual episodes. Speaking of which, we have to release the last episode for the cheapo patrons. But yeah, couple dollars a month, you get a couple extra episodes a month. There's now a whole entire library of more episodes up there. It's like 60 or something. So you have a lot of catching up to do if you're a new patron. Tonight we'll be doing another episode of Equalizer Punk, where we'll be talking about episodes of Transformers. You Can't Do That on Television, and That 80s Show, a very popular show that everybody remembers and loved at the time. And we'll be talking about those. So if you want to hear some guys talk about that, and they're all on YouTube, so you can watch along too. And so go to our Patreon and throw us a couple bucks. And you get the big prize. If you're a $5 patron, you get your name shouted out once a month, and that is you can't take that away. You're gonna have that forever. That memory forever. It lasts forever. So there you go. I almost forgot to talk about our friend at stateofmindrecordings.com. Stateofmindrecordings.com is a website on the internet. It's a record label and a distro. And they sell old records and new records, and old records that have been repressed into new records. Sell them all for pretty cheap, as well as very, very, very cheap $5 flat rate domestic shipping. You're not going to beat that anywhere. That is the cheapest shipping in the game. You're not going to get any record shipped. No less 7 records shipped for $5. So take advantage of it. Make sure to check out stateofmindrecordings.com for a record you're looking for before you actually go and spend $19 on shipping somewhere else, because probably be worth it in the long run. Every week I like to feature a record that you can go buy there or go look at or do whatever you want with it. This week I was having I think this is an old record repressed into a new record, but I'm not positive. But I was having trouble finding anything interesting to talk about, and then this popped up. It is Rival Schools and their Pedals LP. I had no idea that the Rival Schools had more than one record. So this is a surprise to me. I believe it's still fairly old, but I actually don't know. But I think me and Scott are both on record of never liking Rival Schools.
No.
And but maybe this new record that's probably 20 years old that I never knew about is maybe it'll change my mind. Maybe I need to hear Rival Schools Pedals, and I'll like the band. It seems like, the younger people younger than us like this band. So,
2011. 2011.
Oh, that's newer than I thought then. I don't think that's going to be good then, but maybe it is. Maybe this is the one that's going to do it for me. So I'll check out Rival Schools Pedals after this, and if I want to buy it, it's only $21.95 on the stateofmindrecordings.com website. So if you are already a fan of Rival Schools and you don't have this LP, there you go. You could get this one for probably cheaper than anywhere else. And that is my featured record of the week on stateofmindrecordings.com.
Yeah, I forgot that after Gorilla Biscuits did well, that Walter 1 by 1 reformed. Yeah. That's what this is from after the Gorilla Biscuits reunion. He's like, maybe I'll do all my other bands one at a time. Also, pedals is kind of a pun because it shows roses or flowers in the front, but it's spelled like the pedals on a bicycle. So a little bit of humor there. Also, speaking of shipping, I'm curious if other people get. I know that these days, like if you get an ad and you make the mistake of clicking on anything related to it, that's it. Like you're going to see that ad nonstop.
Yes.
But I wonder if anybody else gets the ad for the flutes, the 3D printed, like the dude that plays flutes that play 2 notes at once. Have you seen those? Or is it just me?
I have definitely not got. I don't get that.
Yeah, he's some hippie guy. He's like not that much. He's some like yoga type guy, and he demonstrates all the flutes. They sound cool. I'm not like Kane from Kung Fu, so I'm not walking around with a flute on my backpack or something. But the idea, like what he does, sounds awesome. Like, that's pretty trippy, man. I could see, if I was a weed guy, I'd take a little bit and sit back and play my double, like my fucking. Dark crystal double flute, and just fade out. Some of them are pretty cheap because they're 3D printed. So some of them are like pretty cheap, and I was like, okay, well, I'll get one. I'm gonna get high. For my first time, I'm gonna get high and play flute. And I put one in my cart, and like shipping was like $20. And the thing is, like, it's not that big, and it's 3D printed plastic, so it's gonna weigh like less than an ounce. And so, get out. Like everybody needs to really support State of Mind right now if he's still out here cutting his own throat with shipping. It's almost amazing. So about 50 episodes ago, I think almost exactly, we talked about the band The Champions. Is it The Champions or The Champion? And it got us talking about Simon Brody. And somehow in all the chatter, I think we did say something about this, but I don't remember either of us talking about the fact that Drowning Man had recorded some stuff after they reunited. So they reunited like in the 2020s. And then they broke up weirdly online. Like a whole cloud of internet happened, and they broke up. But I guess they did hit record on something, and they put out. So there's a tape you can buy right now on State of Mind called Later Day Saints. And I never heard of it before. It's pretty good. It's several years old now, but it's pretty good. I went and listened to it on Bandcamp. So the main guitarist is in it, so it still sounds like prime Drowning Man. Simon's in it, so that's good. And what I like about it is that it seems like Simon likes about Simon what I like about Simon. Sometimes when we get older and better and we get better tech, and we don't need to do our old like sloppy weird things, like the cool stuff that you did kind of goes away, gets kind of sanded away. But Simon does it this way on purpose, and it's still the best thing you can do. If you have the chance, you should go in the studio with a band and record lots of tracks of yourself being really sloppy and overlapping and stuff. That's the best thing you can do in this life. Whatever your career is, whatever you're doing in life right now is pales in comparison to shouting 3 times over a song on your own voice. That's the best thing. So he does 20 layers of like, sweaty overlapping screams and creepy out-of-tune sing-song parts. It still sounds really good to me. This is exactly the kind of stuff I want to hear. The vibe is a little more Late Drowning Man. So some of the poetry is gone and it's all like, we're going to kick your fucking ass lyrics, which, that's not really where my head's at, but it's still pretty good, especially for old guys reuniting. Some of these old guys are knocking it out of the park, getting back together and doing good stuff. I don't have a tape deck, so none of this applies to me. It doesn't do me any good. But if you have a tape deck, why not buy this cool red cassette of some 50-year-old men singing about getting in a fight? It's only like $6, and plus, this minimal shipping. Throw a few more things in the cart and have a day of it.
There you go, stateofmindrecordings.com. I'm going to take a little detour now before we get to the actual thing that people want to hear, because Scott mentioned buying stuff from Instagram, and I wanted to mention my recent experience with buying something from Instagram. So last week I talked about how I spend most of my time playing a baseball simulator called Out of the Park Baseball. Yep. If you're a nerd, you know what this is. If not, don't concern yourself with it. But I think that and like something else has skewed all of my ads to just be about baseball things you could buy, which I don't really have an interest in, but I like video games. But there was a thing that I did have an interest in, and I bought it, and it was there's an old pitcher named Todd Stottlemyre who played for several teams. He's most famously known for playing for the Toronto Blue Jays and winning 2 World Series for them in 1992 and 1993. He has an ad that pops up on Instagram that's like, get free autograph cards from Todd Stottlemyre. Just pay for shipping. I think it's like $6.99 or something, which is too much. Like, he sends them in an envelope. Like, they're just regular envelopes. He could have paid $1 for shipping. So I'm getting ripped off, but it's just like autograph cards. It's pretty cool. So I don't even have that much of an interest in autographs or cards. I have a slight interest in cards, but I was just like, I got to see what the grift is here. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to pay by PayPal so I could do the refund just in case this is a big scheme. Yeah. And so I buy the cards, and immediately it's when you go to checkout, it automatically checks off a thing for like Todd's like mental magic, improve your mental health for brochure for $14.99, and I was like, I'm unchecking that. So I'm like, that's a good scam. Well played. And so I order the cards, uncheck that, order the cards, and then immediately after that I start getting emails, and it's just like a big pyramid scheme of Todd Stottlemyre trying to sell his like mental health wellness type of seminars that you could do over Zoom. And it was like, for days it was constant. It was like, Mike, get on Zoom quick and you could talk to Todd about your mental health or something like that. And then I was like, I'll deal with these emails for a little while. But then I started getting texts, because I guess I probably had to put my phone number in for the PayPal to work. So here's my text, and he's like, Mike, Todd Stottlemyre wants to talk to you. And it's just like, stop this, unsubscribe. But so but I get the cards in a timely manner. They're pretty quick. They're not great cards. They're from later part of his career, but either way, he's a man of his word. You will get 2 autographs Todd Stottlemyre cards and a couple humorous emails about improving your mental health the Todd Stottlemyre way. But he also sent me coupons in with the cards. He owns like a Pokeball franchise, which is You're too late on that, Todd. That was like 10 years ago. Yeah. No one's buying the Pokeballs, but I think it's like I think he owns the whole business, and it's like he wants you to franchise it. Like, it's too late for that, Todd. But so he's a little entrepreneur. So, but if you're into autograph cards, there you go. Check it out.
I got all these spam Masubis I got to sell, and nobody's buying them. Have you ever like gone to one of the like seminars that one of the grifters puts on?
Fuck no.
So once upon a time, I got one that was like, it was about Amazon marketing, which is part of my job. So I was like, whatever. I'll just use like a fake email address. I want to see what they have to say. So I went to it, and this is probably old news to people, but they purport to be live, and it looks like live with the chat and all that stuff on the side. but it's not. It's pre-recorded.
No. Yeah.
They're all and if you get another ad for the next week, it'll be the exact same video. They just keep sending the same like pre-recorded video over and over. So they don't even do the work that they're purporting to do on these scams.
There you go. So watch out. Hit us up with your interesting Instagram buys. We all do it. Don't pretend you never did it, because something always gets people. So,
dude, I almost bought. Zach posted a Taco Bell shirt that I wanted, but I went there. It was $30 so I'm not going to spend that much money.
That's a real person, though. That's no one trying to get a.
It's still an Instagram ad. Like I was going to buy it kind of off Instagram, so it wouldn't have gotten me another way. But I think people need to chill with that like $30 plus shipping t-shirt model. That's at least $15 too far for me. I
mean, that's like, it's usually the bottom line is like 35 now.
Yeah.
It's, it sucks. Like, that's what like hardcore record labels are charging for their shirts is $35, which is real DIY punk rock, guys.
Yeah.
That's, I know how much this shit costs, man. It's not $35 to sell a shirt. You're making at least 300% profit off of that, which is, a lot. That's, it's like Walmart profit there. So
I still haven't gotten my Ink and Dagger stuff either. That's from someone related to them, I think. There's like whoever was putting out all that Ink and Dagger stuff all at once. There was like I ordered that. I don't even know how long ago. It's like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Not all
those people. Yeah, all those people they put up before they even order the shirts. So it's probably going to take like a couple months. But after a couple months, I would start investigating. Anyways, we can actually talk about the record now. Sorry, guys, but talking about the band State of the Union and their 7-inch God of Another Faith. From 1994, I thought it was 93, but I guess it's 1994 on Killed by Death Records. I believe there's another band called State of the Union. I'm correct, right? There was a band on like Revelation called State of the Union, I think. Yeah.
I think so. Well, there's State and there's Union. I don't know if there might be State.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of then. Anyways, this is the State of the Union that was from Rapid City, South Dakota. And that's why we're doing it, because we are crossing out the final 5 states, and South Dakota is the first on our list. So here we are in Rapid City, South Dakota. They would later relocate to Seattle. But this is a Rapid City, South Dakota born and bred record. This is a no bullshit.
Yeah.
State of the Union was around for a little bit, a couple 7 inches, an LP, and a discography. And that's about it. This was, I think the only band recommended to us from South Dakota.
Yeah.
So that's what you get. As far as members, I don't have too much to report. Go to the main page before I start with my spiel. Okay, so drums and vocals was Joey Moss, and I assume, because there's 2 people listed as vocals, but I assume the drummer was the main vocalist of this band, which is always an interesting one. I don't. We might have done like one other drummer vocalist, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Band, but you don't see it often. Joey Mass, however you want to say it, is now an artist in LA. He's an art guy. I stumbled on his Instagram because his name's Joey Mass, and you look it up, and he's like followed by people we follow, and I'm like looking at it, and I'm like, this can't be the same guy, because he's like usually if you go to tag pictures, it'll have like the person's bands, like people tag them in flyers and stuff. You don't see that. You got to go scroll all the way down, like years and years, to find any even inkling of it. And he looks pretty young. Like, he looks good.
Yeah.
And I would have to assume if he was in an established band that started in 1993, that he has to be at the very least a few years older than me. He looks much younger than a few years older than me, unless he just uses pictures from the past. But no, then you find like in interviews with him, and he is definitely an artist. All his art stuff is on his Instagram. Not much punk or anything like that, but in one of the interviews, he's like, "Yeah, grew up in Rapid City, South Dakota, and I played punk music and blah blah blah." So that's how you find it out. But I don't think he's really checking for that shit anymore, really. But yeah, he's out there.
Yeah, his actual website says that he was in those bands, and that he basically hung it up after the band The Prids was in like a major van accident. They flipped their van, and he was like, "Fuck this! My life is too short to be upside down in a vehicle for music." So yes, he's now an artist with a capital A, and he makes kind of like pop art paintings of like fashion women's faces, collage with like weird, like I guess statues and Maybe just statues. It might just be statues all the way down. And his website says he likes Patrick Nagel, Memphis design, Swatch watches, and skateboard graphics. That's fucking crazy because he's been at this for years and years. And it still looks like it's all based on those 4 things. Like he's found like 20 years of ways to interpret those 4 things into these paintings. He seems to be a very funny guy. He's done some culture jamming in his past. There's a post where he says he used to buy like cheap dollar store groceries and relabel them with funny kind of like Adbusters-y kind of, label artwork. So he took like a motor oil bottle and labeled it as Standing Rock Natural Spring Water. That's pretty funny. He took a can of Hormel chili and he labeled it Pig's Feet, but the pictures are all cops. And then he'd make a bunch of them and he'd take them and he'd put them in a real grocery store. And I guess you could scan the UPCs and the UPC would scan normal. So you could buy all these products in grocery stores. And recently he made a knockoff of the old Bloomingdale's big brown bag that you used to see everywhere. And it says big douche bag. That's such a cheap shot. I'm very proud of you, Joey. That was a very cheap shot. I love that.
I did forget to mention he was also in other bands: Procession of Vultures, Roxy Epoxy, and The Rebound. Yeah. The Acrid Sea, or the Arid Sea, The Prids, and Wormwood. Next up is Nate Martin. There we go. Nate Martin. He played bass. Yeah, bass. Nate is a photographer now. That's I should say he's also in bands Antenical, Carbon Defense League, Oh wait, this is the wrong Nate Martin. Hold on a second. Yeah, because there's 2 of them. Yeah, the one page links to the Nate Martin of Chapter, but this is a different Nate Martin. Right. This Nate Martin was in Across 5 Aprils and Single File Line. Yeah. But yeah, he's a photographer now. He seems to be a legit one, like that takes pictures of models and shit. So I assume that pays the bills. So that's what I know about Nate. I
gotta see the link that you're looking at because the Nate Martin I found is the one that was in. We talked about him in.
Yeah, that's a different one.
That's not him.
The one that's in Chapter. That's a different one.
No, this Nate Martin. So if I click on the Nate Martin thing, I see a guy who was in Creation is Crucifixion.
Yeah, that's not the same guy.
Oh, so it's misleading.
Yeah, they fucked up on Discogs.
All right, so I don't know anything about. Mike's right. I don't know anything about Nate Martin, but he's friends with all the other guys though.
I'm pretty certain because if you follow the Instagram trail, that this Nate Martin follows all these guys and they follow him, and I think there's allusions to references that he's a great photographer now and stuff like that. So, so I mean, unless the Nate Martin photographer that I'm talking about is also the guy in Creation is Crucifixion, but I'm pretty certain they're 2 different guys, but I'm not positive. So
we'll defer to you. The Nathan Martin I found is the guy from Creation is Crucifixion. He's credited as having been in State of the Union on Discogs, I think. Maybe he's not. He's credited. So so it's totally cross wires. It's totally fucked up.
Yeah, if you go to the credits on the 7-inch and click on that Nate Martin, it goes to the guy that was in Chapter and Creation was Crucifixion. If you go to the Nate Martin that's in the band Discogs, it goes to a completely different Nate Martin that was actually in this band.
This is bullshit. Usually I'm better at the internet than this. I'm all fucked up. Okay, so I got nothing on that guy. Well, good job, Mike.
You have two more chances to one-up me because I don't really have much on these other guys. Yeah. For credits for guitars and I guess backup vocals is Josh Devia. I am not sure if he was a permanent member of this band because all the band photos show 3 dudes, and I think he's like the odd man out. So I think maybe it lists him on both 7 inches, so I guess maybe he was in the band and they don't. Maybe the other guy's the odd man out. I don't know. Either way, I don't know much about this guy. All I found was his Instagram. He seems to be. It stopped in 2017, so hopefully he's still alive. But he seemed to be very interested in taking pictures of bugs and wildlife. And looks like he was living in Portland, but I can't be sure. And that was so long ago, so it doesn't matter.
Josh Davila, we are on different internets, I think. Oh, no, you're right. He does take pictures of bugs. I see that. I think he owns a food truck. It kind of looks like he cooks and does a food truck. But this guy's the only one who visibly keeps metal and hardcore on his feed. Lots of posts about records and music and about State of the Union. He's got State of the Union records posted on his feed, and we'll talk about. I think that there was one that was just sitting in a box at a store, and he just kept tracking it. Like, man, this has been here for 2 years. Who's going to come buy this thing? Which is pretty fun. But he's mainly a goofy guy online. It's hard to tell what he actually gets up to But one of the top posts on his feed is the Merrill Iconoclast split lying on a pile of other ebullition records. So we have a lot to talk about, Josh.
So I guess Mark Everett is the odd man out because he's only credited for this 1 7-inch. And Mark Everett was the other guitarist that I guess pieced out after this. And the only thing I know about Mark Everett is that he was also in a band called Sod Hauler, who was a little more recent enough to be on the internet. And I still couldn't really find anything about him. So... I have nothing. Mark Everett's a very common name, so I couldn't find anything.
Yeah, with Josh and him and maybe someone else in this band were at Sod Hauler, and I think some of them weren't they all in Wormwood together too? I think Wormwood might have been several of these guys. I couldn't find much about him apart from the fact that Sod Hauler also contained Adrian Guerra, who's the guy that passed away from Bell Witch. Which resulted in the album Mirror Reaper that made every single fucking buddy's year-end list in 2017 and is one of the most boring albums of all time. Everybody wanted to talk about Mirror Reaper that whole year. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? This album's so fucking boring. And it was such a big deal that everybody commissioned that same artist. So for a whole year, I can't remember his name. He's a guy who rips off Bekskinski, that Polish artist. Everybody commissioned this guy. So for a whole year, everybody's records look like Mirror Reaper. Exactly. Same drawing, same type of thing over and over and over. I hated that year. And that's also the last year that I was like paying full attention to metal because my child was born and I stopped reading Decibel and websites and stuff for a while. So I left on a bad note, thanks to Bell Witch, Mirror Reaper and all that stuff.
So this was on a record label called Killed by Death Records, which this is their one and only release. They called it a day. They are also from Rapid City, South Dakota, ran by a man named Kevin. And the only reason I know that is because I bought this 7-inch from him unknowingly from Discogs. I think he had the cheapest price or the most convenient way to get it. And I bought it with, I think, a Manumission 7-inch that maybe we'll do it some other time, the record on the show. And then he messaged me and he was like, hey, just so you know, I put out that State of the Union 7-inch a long time ago. And I was like, oh, shit. And so I messaged him back and I was like, oh, I actually do a podcast and this is for the podcast. We're doing this thing where we do a record from every state and blah, blah, blah. So we talked for a little while and he said, oh, yeah, hit me up when it comes out. So he still lives in Rapid City, South Dakota. He still seems to be in the same area. And if you would like to buy records from Kevin on Discogs, his Discogs name is AKABIN, all one word, Akabin or something like that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he's selling some records on Discogs, so go check him out. But yeah, I think he was one and done. This was enough for him, and he pieced out.
It's tough because he named his label Killed by Death Records, which obviously has a much bigger legacy. That's some set of balls, Kevin, to use your label name. And he also numbered this KBD 100. So like, where's 1 through 99? It's a rich vein. But I had to find him the old fashioned way. I looked up the address to see who was there and I saw that his name was on it. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So he used to be the keyboardist in this band, apparently, it says. Oh, I don't know if there's any evidence of that other than like a band summary page. I think it's like a Rapid City music sort of wiki, but he's listed there as the ex-keyboardist. So this is an inside job, soup to nuts.
Yeah, since you said you looked up the address, I guess I'll totally dox him and say he still has the same address, which is crazy. Wow. This is 30 years ago. So I don't know, it was a family house or Kevin hit it big when he was a kid. And he was just like, yo, I'm going to buy a house right now and live in it for the rest of my life. But
that's it. He was an oil driller when he was 14. So he's the one who did it.
Yeah, but there you have it. There's that. So now we can get this record out onto a tray. Nice. I had to use my backup finger for that. I fucked up my nail. My regular finger. Anyways, so this is a very, very, very 90s packaging and layout. All the 90s fonts. The cover, you get a panelized version of a famous sculpture that I don't know the name of, and interesting story about this. I was like, this is fucking bugging me. This is like something from Pompeii or something like that. I don't know what the fuck it is. And it's bugging me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to use Chat GPT to figure out what this painting is, or the sculpture is. So I type in and I send a picture and I'm like, can you tell me what the sculpture from this album cover it is? And it's like, oh, it's The Gates of Hell by some Italian guy. And I was like, that's, it sounds right, but let me make sure. So I Googled Gates of Hell by some Italian guy. totally different sculpture.
Yeah, that's Rodin, I think.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, this is fucked up. So I go back to Chat GPT, and I was like, I think I just did the same prompt again. It gives me the same answer, but it's very confident, and it's like, and I was like, can you? I don't want to pull it up, but it's like, oh, you can. I was like, it's like I can show you them side to side to show you what parts of the sculpture it is, and I was like, yeah, sure, do that. So it shows me pictures of the sculpture and the pictures of the record cover, and he's like, see, this is the blah 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 blah, and it's like, no, this is like completely different. It goes on for like several prompts where it's just like, this is the blah blah blah, and it's pretty amazing how confident AI is and just completely wrong. So I gave up after that. I don't know what the fuck this is. But it's just it's a panelized sculpture of a bunch of people look like they're, in hell or just being tortured or something, holding each other and screaming and shit like that. Very, very 90s sculpture. Yep. So State of the Union in the panels in a pretty stock word processor font of the time. I think that's like Cooper or something like that.
Copperplate, yeah.
Yeah, Copperplate. Yeah. And the back has the State of the Union in like that eye for an eye kind of like block text font.
Yeah.
Or many 90s hardcore bands use the same big block, this impact block. Back has just kind of like a OB type banner going down the middle with all the information in it and with all the other 90s fonts that everybody used. Mm-hmm. It has it all. Except for the side A and the B is just in like another weird stock word processor, like Old English font that doesn't really match up. But what are you going to do? You're using them all anyways. Top notch. Hit it out of the gate with the covers. The inside is just an insert. It's like a kind of a centerfold insert. Pull out. So like, I don't know. It's like 14 inches or whatever. It's just like a kind of like a mini poster. It says State of the Union going down in the broken typewriter font and has a picture of like the smoke plume things that from the factories that everybody likes. Yeah. And then in I think a literal typewriter, it just has where it was recorded and the thanks and blah blah blah. No lyrics though. This is just one-sided. Right. And I assume this would be like a heavily lyrical band because I just assumed by the name State of the Union that they're some crust punk band and they are not. So so I was wrong, and I guess they don't have any lyrics they needed to print. So that's all you get. Overall, very very 90s complete package. They hit it out of the park. If you are one of those young Zoomers that are constantly aping 90s bands, even though it's moved on to 2000s bands now, you can use this as a template. You could just you could put your band name, you could change everything. No one's gonna know. So just go look at the State of the Union album cover because it's pretty perfect for what it is.
Have Chat GPT pick a different part of the wrong sculpture for you to use as your cover art.
yeah.
So as a fan of extreme music in the late 90s, I'm a big fan of grainy images of gnarly religious sculptures. I don't know how you guys keep finding more sculptures with hell in it. I mean, I'm sure there's like a good share of like Hieronymus Bosch, like the goofy ones, but finding like the good artists making hell is like they only did it like once or twice in their lives. They were too scared. They were too shook bitches in the 1400s and 1700s. But it was like every third awesome record I own in 98, 99 had this cover or something like it on it. So I think splitting it up into these panels is something I would have done. But then in hindsight, I don't know why, because it's like a really cool photo. I probably would have just let it speak for itself. This is the front of a cathedral in Orvieto, Italy. It's called the Last Judgment. It's just like Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel, where I think it's a bunch of biblical shit, and this is the hell part.
So ChatGPT was probably in the same ballpark, which is still completely wrong. Yeah,
probably about 200 or 300 years removed. Because the Rodin, I'm pretty sure the Rodin door is from the 1800s, and I think this is from like the 15 or 1600s. But I'm not fully confident in those numbers. But it's all awesome. Draw hell, everybody. Hell's always cool. It's like it always looks cool, and you have demons like whipping guys and stuff. That's sick. And this sculpture is pretty like those people. These people look really troubled. Like it's really eating them up that these demons are getting them. They're like, shit, I really messed up because it's the last judgment. This is the end of the world. So yeah, and then State of the Union is written out in the copper. It's like it looks like an artificially bolded copper plate or American Gothic, which is busted looking to my eyes. It's very busted. But I kind of always feel like copper plate looks busted. Like unless you're making dollar bills or you're making bank notes or something, I think you shouldn't be ever using copper plate. There's like a halftone on the image on the front that's so subtle that it just makes it look like a cheap zine.
Yeah.
So it's either like they printed it the way cheap zines were printed, so they got it by accident, or they wanted a halftone effect and didn't push it hard enough. Because I think it's kind of in the middle. No harm, no foul, but I would have gone one way or the other with that. And on the back is this almost like this funeral card looking OB thing. And for some reason I looked at it and I thought there was an Acrid record. That could be because they have the same skull almost. They have the little Acrid skull in there. But I feel like I'd seen this kind of layout somewhere before. It's kind of classy, other than the fact that they used like all the wrong fonts, because they have this kind of Art Deco like 80s newspaper ad. Like if you ever flip through your old local paper, there'd be a furniture store with the same kind of layout where it was way too classy, But then there's these like very bold 90s fonts that are stretched in lowercase. And hey guys, don't stretch fonts. Don't stretch your fucking fonts. And then you get a whole new feel when you get to the insert. This is a different era of Godflesh, where you get the grimy crust insert version with smokestacks and some destroyed typewriter text. So make up your minds, fellas. What kind of 1999 extreme band were you in 1994? You're ahead of the game, but And the record itself has mixed feels because you get more. I couldn't find this artwork because the Google Lens was just like, that's from a record, because I could see the hole in it. And it just showed me records. I was like, no, what artwork is zoomed in on the face and everything? What is this guy? He's being tortured by demons. What is it? And no one could tell me. But it's a pretty cool sculpture or painting of another guy getting demoned. And that's cool. I love all that. And they have an old timey A and B for the sides. Yeah. And then like very early Victory Records outline blocky font text on a circle for the details.
That's the old Snapcase font.
That's like the Snapcase text on a circle. Yeah. And it's all kind of grimy black and white paper. So I hope they save some money. I hope they put a kid through college with the money they saved on this. But for like a gnarly kind of proto Holy Terror, evil hardcore religious layout, this is pretty good. I like most of this layout. They could have included more information and lyrics, especially because there seems to be a lot of them. And I couldn't and we'll get to it, but I couldn't tell which song was which in a couple places. But
I should say that the record is the Snapcase font. And I'm pretty sure the song titles on the back is the Mouthpiece font. They both kind of look the same. But I also forgot to mention, talking about classy, I forgot to mention that the only place the record name appears on the cover, or the back cover, is in very tiny letters. It just says "God of Another Face" 7-inch. That's pretty classy. You don't want to advertise it. You just want to make it a secret that you have a 7-inch title. So it's just there in little tiny letters. I like that.
Yeah. Titling your record is sellout shit. So don't let anybody know.
Yeah. So now we can get into the music. This is 3 tracks. It's kind of just really 2.5, but they felt the need to name these tracks. So I guess it's 3. There's 2 on side 1 and 1 on side 2. So we'll get into it now. The first track on side 1 is called Faith.
well. His aunt doesn't want him, his cousin doesn't want him, and he's always in the street, and he's a bad boy, so they label me bad boy, and they tell me I'm bad boy for 100 years, and then they expect me to act like a bad boy. You go in a juvenile hall, you got a bed, a locker, and a table. You go to the you got a bed, a locker, and a table. You go to the penitentiary, you got a bed, a locker, and a table. The penitentiary is the penitentiary all the way to the time you're old enough to where they can start locking you up and cut you off from the sunshine, and cut you off from the fresh air. Wolves got a mechanized monster that eats people, and it cries for people's blood.
Well, I'm not an expert. I'm not an authority. I'm someone who has been a murderer for almost 20 years.
So you get a very long intro. It's going, and this sucked because there's no speed, and I was playing it on both speeds, and I was like, it could be either. I gotta wait for vocals to kick in because this could be on either speed.
Yeah.
And then finally the vocals kick in. It's like, okay, this is on 33. It's 5. So that sucked. I listened to like a minute and a half of this, but it's a very the whole song as a whole. It's just very heavy and simple, slightly spooky riffs.
Yeah.
But it's all very, very simple. Kind of highlighted by a very real ass black metal ghastly shrieker like this. I was like, this is not a vocal style you hear often, ever, but definitely not in hardcore. This is definitely like black metal all the way, probably before these dudes even knew what black metal was, or when most people didn't know what black metal was. So this is just what they were going for. Sounds like an actual ghost. But yeah, song wise, this is definitely like real beginner level song on Guitar Hero. This is like the one you could do with a drink in your hand, just like easily. It's just very simple riffs. In the middle of the song, we do get a sample of some guy talking. I think it might be Charles Manson. I'm not positive. That's gonna get you some early 90s hardcore points if it's Charles Manson.
Yeah.
He doesn't sound crazy enough to be Charles Manson, but I've heard Charles Manson say things very similar to this, so I don't know.
Yeah.
There's also, this might be where the keyboard kicks in, because there's also a spooky wind sound that comes out of nowhere. So that just might have been Kevin hitting the one key to make the wind sound come up, and that was his job in the entire band. Then it goes into an ending part after the lengthy possible Charles Manson vocal sample. And it's like, it's crunchy. I guess you're supposed to mosh to it. It's 1994, so it's hard to tell. They're probably kids making music, and they're not really sure. It's not the most bombastic ending to a song. Yeah. It's like I said, the song is very simple, but nothing is poorly played. It's just like I think they knew their limitations, and they're just like, well, let's go for it. Everything's in tune. It seems to be everybody's in sync and on time, but it's just even for 1994, it seems to be an incredibly simple song.
My record is a little different than this, because mine starts with, I guess it would be nice if I could touch your bud, before they get into the drop.
Yeah.
So I could have sworn there was some early, like, earache type band who switched styles to Doom or Doom Sludge and had a record that sounded this bad. That had the same kind of like blanket over the microphone sound of this. But I went through a bunch of them. I went through like Cathedral and all these other bands, and I can't find it. Everything sounds okay, so I might be misremembering. But yeah, this sounds like the band is under a blanket, like fully. Yeah. It sounds like the guitars are warm and mushy, and they have no real edge to them. The drums sound like the blanket is interfering, like the blanket is touching the drums. So he's like, boom, 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 kind of like the drumsticks aren't hitting right. But then the vocals come out, and they're just like, kind of like Rennie from Starkweather, just disgusting, like singing into a cassette deck kind of screech. And they're really harsh and crispy. And the only crispy thing in the whole mix are these like, black metal vocals. This song starts off with a version of Iron Maiden's Flash of the Blade, the riff, before they settle into the good, like, halftime kind of post-hardcore thing or whatever. And then it gives up complexity entirely, and it just becomes murky, mid-paced hardcore. it's sludgy, possibly just because of production, but it's sludgy. I mean, to me it sounded sludgy, but it's like it could just be by virtue of the fact that the blanket is over the band and that makes it sound sludgy. Because in addition to the guitars being muffled sounding, they also have like a haunting reverb on them. So it's really cavernous. That might be what was making you think it was spooky too, is that they have kind of a spooky guitar tone. Because the guitars are kind of echoey and haunted sounding. And this is not bad in the way we're used to. We're used to like fizzy, cheap, weak sounding stuff. But these guys left some oomph in the mix. So you're getting the thump in the chest. You're getting like the heaviness. But it's really weird. And it's kind of dreary. And definitely kind of ghostly. This is like ghost music. But of all, all the many things this record could have been from South Dakota, not knowing anything, I think, strangely mixed ghost music with gross vocals. It feels like a big win to me so far.
Yeah, I agree. I should also note these guys didn't fly to New York City to record with Don Fury or anything like that.
Yeah.
They recorded this in Black Hawk, South Dakota in 1993. So I assume wherever they went, this was the first time that guy ever heard music that sounded like this. So so with that in mind, this is an exceptional recording as far as I'm concerned. So that's why I didn't rag on the recording. It's for 1993 weird hardcore from a place of like South Dakota. I assume this is pretty top notch.
And I think you get used to it. I think your body gets used to the sound.
Yeah. So the second track is called Opiate. Kind of a point of contention because the first song, Faith, kind of abruptly ends, and then there's a clean channel part, and that clean channel part could either be an interlude, or it could be the end of the first song, or it could be the beginning of the second song, and there's no way of knowing because they didn't include lyrics, and there's no real break between it. But I think the clean channel is the beginning of Opiate, because that also includes another vocal sample of some other serial killer guy talking about some shit. That sounded more movie-like, but I googled some of the words and couldn't find anything for sure, so I think it's just some other 2020 interview with some murderer or something like that. I don't know.
I googled the Manson thing too, and I got nothing on none of those words added up to anything on Google at all.
So huge points. It's really hard to be from the 90s and score two samples in a row that you can't track on the internet. So you did a really good job. So the clean channel interlude or intro, whatever you want to call it, after that's over, it just goes into like something that sounds more like a kind of boilerplate early 90s new school hardcore song. This sounds like anything that could have been from upstate New York or even downstate New York or the Northeast. It's just a pretty simple 90s new school hardcore song. You have the funky drummer funking it up a little. He's the only one really trying to spice this up because it's otherwise a pretty simple, short, and fine song. Outside of the spooky interlude, it's pretty normal and probably the least good thing on the record.
So there's like a long stretch of the moody clean channel, and it's very moody. It's like really dreary kind of moody stuff, and that ends with a much peppier. It just suddenly goes into a much peppier, chunkier part. And it kind of sounds like the middle, the more well-known part of Makeshift Atom Smasher, the Dead Guy song. And it's much different than what's happened so far on the record. There's nothing this peppy on the record so far. And I'm pretty sure I heard the word opiate in there, so I'm confident we're on the right page at least. So I'm running with that. It's only like a minute long, maybe, unless you maybe with the interlude it's longer. But it's basically just the part where Makeshift Atom Smasher picks up. That's the riff, and it still has the kind of hollowed out ghostly sound. So it's interesting. It's like a band from the 70s trying to record a metallic hardcore record or something. It sounds like vanilla fudge or something gear trying to make hardcore. There's not much other texture to what these guys do. The guitarists always play the same thing at the same time. There's nobody does like the noisy layer or the weird bends or like the harmonies, or it plays out of tune or feeds back. So it makes the more chaotic parts like this feel a little flat. Like it feels like someone should be going, just doing something else, and that doesn't happen anywhere on this side. Other than that, there's a part where the backing vocals come out and they give you a legitimate jump scare. Speaking of ghosts, it's like the library ghost in Ghostbusters rushing at the screen because these backing vocals just go, and they jump right out of the speakers at you. So big jump scare.
So then you flip it over, and the lone song on side B is called Monolith. Again, begins with another longish, simple intro. But when it kicks in, it gets real stompy. This is a real heavy stompy one, a monolithic song, if you will. And the vocals sound incredibly ghastly on this one.
Yeah,
it sounds like he's singing from inside of a well. So he might actually be a troll. This might be a troll and not a ghost. It's hard to tell. It goes on with kind of this simplistic riffing, and then it builds into like the most simple my first practice build-up part ever. And then it just stops, and the pause is long enough to be, it's a true fake out. This is a real fake out, because they pause for a good 5 seconds, and I'm just like, that's it, that's the song. And then you just hear and that is the true jump scare of the 7-inch. That is the real jump scare. I'm sure a lot of people had a little fright when that kicked in again. And it's amazing. And then you just get a complete bombardment of ghost vocals. They're just in the back, they're in the front, they're all over the place, they're doubling up. It's pretty great. It then kind of just, I guess, melts into like not a great payoff. It's like, it's kind of, it's 1993, so it's, I guess you can mosh to it. I guess it's kind of a mosh part, but it's not very strong. After you build up and you have the big spook scare, the jump scare, I was kind of underwhelmed by the ending, the big outro, I guess you would say. But I also forgot to mention overall that I also, if the drummer is singing, I can overlook the fact that every song has about 15 vocals in it. It's just like 15 words, and then it stops, and then there's long long parts of just music, like instrumental music, and that's fine if your drummer sings, so whatever. But this is probably my favorite song on the record, though.
Yeah, this song starts with what I would consider a cheat beat, because they made an off-time rhythm, but they just add another beat to it, so it's like a regular riff where they just go bump bump to make a couple more times, which is cool because they managed to do it, but. You risk the fact that it sounds like your band is all making a mistake together. That's kind of what it sounds like. Everyone's fucking up at the same time, but they did it. It's like they pulled it off. It's not their fault that you can't do math. That's just how it is. And they settle in for some good old deep and slow sludge jams in this part. And there's a second guitar finally doing some of that noisy stuff I was talking about. And I'm like, see how much better this is. That's how it should be. And it's cool for a while. And then the other guitar. He kind of goes off onto like simple harmonics where you just go ting, 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 like playing the Jeopardy theme kind of on your harmonies. And he's in charge of the volume knob that day, so he's way above. Like the heavy guitar is trying his best, but it might fall off a little bit there. But we get the nice false ending. Like this is one of the greats. So a lot of people fuck up the false ending, but this could have easily. You had enough time to get to the record arm and pick it up. And never know that the song keeps going. If they they waited just like 1 or 2 ticks longer than you'd expect, and so the reveal is very unhinged because this is when, like Mike said, they bring in more layers of vocals, and the other layers are murderously loud. They're just so much louder than the main vocal line. So you're feeling attacked for the whole way out. And then then there's some comeback riffs, like the beginning. I think it's just the riff from the beginning again or something that starts playing it. That's pretty simple. So it's kind of like the ghosts are all marching back to their graves. The fun's over. But, the song itself is a sick ending, even if they kind of maybe didn't stick the landing with the outro mosh.
And there you have it. There's State of the Union, God of Another Faith from 1994 on Killed by Death Records. And at the end, I like to do a little rating system where I say either throw it in the trash, listen to it on streaming, buy it in the bargain bin, buy it for full price, or buy it for collector's prices. It's weird because this is this is a pretty, overall, musically, it's a pretty simple record. Nothing you've not heard before. I don't think there's anything super unique about it, but it's still an incredibly interesting record. Like they don't do much, technically crazy or anything, but just the fact that people were making this music in 1993 in South Dakota, and it sounds genuinely odd for the time, even within the confines of hardcore. It's very strange. So for that alone, I think it's on Discogs right now. I think let's see if this is in America. I might have bought. Oh, yeah. So there's one guy. There's only one guy in the United States selling it for $15. Don't pay $15. Fucking ridiculous. I'm sure if you reached out to Kevin, he might have other copies laying around. I'm sure he didn't just have one copy. But I think I bought mine for a few bucks, maybe $3 or $4, if that. I think it was $3. That's probably good. This is a good bargain bin record, especially if you're into early 90s hardcore and you've never heard this before. It's pretty interesting. The layout is perfect. The music is weird enough, and I really love those vocals. So don't break the bank, but it's definitely worth your time, I think. Yeah,
these lesser known states are getting it done for us. I don't know if you guys have heard of the states Montana and South Dakota, but so far they've had 2 of the better bands we've reviewed on the show. Ass End Offends, and wonder if they know each other. State of the Union and Ass End Offends, if you guys are buddies. This isn't what I was expecting at all. Even looking at the evil hardcore artwork, I was expecting it to be like something shitty. I thought it was going to be shitty mosh or something else.
I definitely thought it was going to be D-beat bullshit.
Yeah. D-beat or mosh or just punk. Just they didn't know. They're just like shitty, like shitty garage punk. But it's not. It's like I don't know if I'd say it's unique, but I'd say it's like they listened to really complicated music and then played it in a simple way. So because they're listening to sinister metallic hardcore. Like they've heard a bunch of metal, they've heard Dead Guy and Screamo and stuff, and they wanted to make something like that. But they were doing it with a different way. And then, they had to go to their town's used car lot jingle studio or their buddy. Their buddy, he doesn't know what the sliders on the right of the EQ slide, he doesn't know what those do. So it's a very strange production style. I've never heard anything exactly like this, especially on our show. That's not great, but it's not a deal breaker because you definitely get used to the sound and it makes it sound kind of spooky and haunted. So it's a deal maker because I don't know how I felt about this if it was just good. Like if this was just really sick and heavy sounding, I don't know. I would have just been like, yeah, who cares? But there is a twofold disappointment for me though. One of it is that all these guys caught the first bus out of South Dakota after this.
Yep.
So I don't know if they're just there for college or they're Mormon missionaries or what, but even like their South Dakota bands were active. It seems like a lot of them were shuffling their feet across a few states to get to like Seattle and to get to other scenes and be part of other things, I guess. So that means that, contrary to what I was expecting, none of them ended up being Tron from Fubar 2 after all. I was disappointed that none of them have Super Duties wrapped with fuck Joe Biden graphics. I was very let down. And then further let down when I finally decided to Google what I'm talking about and learned that the rich people who drill oil are from North Dakota. So I might have to live through this disappointment a second time. This might come back to haunt us. But this one's cool. Today, my 4U scale and my tin fish scales are united. The great conjunction, empathy me and tin fish me both think that if you're a first 7-inch club listener with any generosity in relation to production quality, you will enjoy this. So I'm going to give this an 8.5 out of 10 on both scales today.
Yeah, I think I was a little low. I'm gonna bump this up to a full price record. I think this is totally worth your time, especially if you're into early 90s hardcore. So
don't pay the $60 shipping that I'm looking at here. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, that's from fucking France. Hit up Kevin on Discogs. Like I said, I doubt he was just sitting on. I think he would have said, "Hey, that's my last copy ever of the 7-inch that I put out. That's the last one in existence." I'm pretty sure he would have told me, but either way, I told Kevin I would tell him when this came out. So hopefully he enjoyed it. And speaking of which, next week we're gonna go to the other Dakota. We're gonna go to North Dakota. Yeah. Because I'm like, I have this Kevin guy here from South Dakota. He must know about North Dakota too. So I was like, hey man. Do you know any bands from North Dakota that we could do? And he recommended 2 bands, Hammerhead and Godhead Silo, both bands that I'm actually interested in talking about. Yep. And so I was like, perfect. I didn't know those bands were from North Dakota. So I go to their Discogs and they're from a place called Moorhead, Minnesota, which is that's not even the same state. And I was like, I don't know. But then there's people on the Discord that are familiar. They're from that area. And they were like, no, Moorhead is basically like a suburb of Fargo. It's like a 5-minute drive outside of Fargo. So the bands from Moorhead, Minnesota are considered from the Fargo, North Dakota hardcore scene. So these are real ones. These are real vets. And they are giving me the okay to review Moorhead, Minnesota bands as Fargo, North Dakota bands. That's just how it works there in that area. I'm not familiar with it. I'm never going to be, but so next week we'll be doing Godhead Silo. So check that out. But until then, we are going to be doing a Patreon that you should hear by now if you are a patron. But if you're not, you can go to patreon.com/first7inch club and go check it out for a few bucks. We're going to be talking some Equalizer punk. But until then, Scott, do you have any last words?
Tell me if you're getting the flute ads. Tell me if you bought the flute. If you paid the $20 shipping to get your $3 plastic flute in the mail. And this has been a really underprepared episode for me. I didn't feel like it either. I felt like I came in prepared and then tripped over my own shit twice, at least two or three times this episode. So this is a new low. This is a new low in podcasting right here. Episode 2 or 3 is when we finally hit a wall and fall off. I could feel it. Feel myself stooping over. I could feel my back giving way, and I'm about to just roll into the grave. So that's it. It's a good run, guys.
Yep, that's about it. Let us know if Scott has ever left an erotic ransom note in your front yard. Yeah. If he ever did that to you, and we could put a case against him because, maybe he's lying. Maybe he told us that story to throw the scent off. So if you are familiar with Scott's work, let us know if he's done the same to you. If you like it, hit me in the DMs. If you thought it was cool and you have a different tack that you want to take on this thing, drop me a line. Well, okay. Until next week, fuck Charlie Daniels. Fuck Charlie Daniels. 手手ごと母ごとごとごとと一刻橋で待てばよい手手ごと母ごとごとごとと一刻橋で待てばよい母子がいなけりゃどこで待つ手手ごだけなら
こで待つことごと回るバグルな待たずに乗って行けばよいひもじくなったらどこで泣く眠くなったらどこで寝る泣き言寝言とごとごとと一刻橋で泣けばよい泣き言寝言とごとごとと一刻橋で泣けばよい雨が降ったらどこで泣く雪が降ったらどこで寝ることごと回るバグルな黙って乗って泣けばよい